Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday morning. It's Wednesday morning from a freezing cold Toronto. If you can see me, if you can hear me, please just let me know in the comments. I'm so excited today. We have Jessica Kishpaugh, who is a holistic nutritionist and sorry, let me turn the sound down here, an emotional eating coach. And she is going to be speaking to us about our toxic beliefs and how those affect our stress and weight. So I'm so thrilled to have Jessica with us on the Reshaping Your Menopause show. Now, let me bring Jessica on. If you're watching us on all my channels all over the place, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook business page, I can only be watching comments in one spot. So, and that is going to be in my Facebook group, which is the Moving and Reshaping Club for Menopause. So please put your comments there. If you're watching on the replay somewhere, come and find us, Moving and Reshaping Club. Jessica, so amazing to have you with us. This is a big topic, a big, big topic. I know certainly, winter set in and it's a struggle, especially the issues that we have in terms of maintaining our weight through perimenopause and postmenopause. And sometimes it's more than just the food, right?
Oh, it's more than just the food. And it is such a pleasure to be here, Tracy. I'm like really excited. I have loved connecting with you over the last few years. And you know, I take a real mind body eating approach, and I work with women to nourish their relationship with food through the power of food psychology, through the power of habit change. Like you said, as an emotional eating coach, I specialize in emotional eating, binge eating, overeating, mindless eating. That's a lot of what holds us back,
Right.
and so I'm going to talk today about the power of our mindset and our thoughts, the power of what I've learned is sort of denoted. This is not my terminology. It's something that I've learned in my trainings, are toxic nutritional beliefs and how that can really affect how we go about our wellness goals, how we go about
Right.
dieting, how we go about having happier, wholesome, more balanced lives. And I'm also going to talk about some eating psychology principles, which is a bit of a more like newer, holistic approach to the weight loss journey, and why it's so different, and why it's so important to recognize that, gosh, this is way more than food.
Yes.
This
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for you to dive in. And if
amazing.
there are people watching us, remember, if you want to ask Jessica questions, if you're watching on the replay, come into my Facebook group, Moving and Reshaping Club, and tag Jessica, put your questions there. But if you're watching now, I'll be keeping an eye on the chat in the Facebook group. So if you have any questions for Jessica, just pop them in the chat. And Jessica said, I'm welcome to interrupt her with questions that are, relevant.
Please
Otherwise, we can take
interrupt.
some
Please
of the
interrupt on all the places,
uh,
Instagram and Facebook and wherever. In the chat, I can see the chat as well if you guys do to everyone. So
amazing. Okay, so I'm going
let's
to hand the screen over to you.
are amazing, amazing.
And I'm going to pin you. I feel like I'm flying an airplane here. Okay.
Awesome. All right. So I don't have slides. I'm gonna chat. It can absolutely be interactive, and I do love interaction. I love to hear from people. I love to, feed off of your energy. And we're gonna start with the power of thinking. And I love this quote. You guys feel free to write this down. It is far more difficult to murder a phantom than a reality. It's a Virginia Woolf quote. I'll repeat it. It's far more difficult to murder a phantom than a reality. So we're going to talk about thoughts and patterns of behavior that are real versus what we believe are real, but are actually quite the phantom. And many people, I see this all the time in my world in terms of struggling with difficult feelings with eating challenges and engaging in thinking that is very judgmental and repetitive. So, I kind of will pose this question out to you. Feel free to answer in the chat, but are you aware of the thoughts that are not serving you? What are you holding on to that's not serving you? And I'll give you some examples. Like, do you have these thoughts? Ready? I'll be happy when I'm thin. I can't help but sabotage myself. I have no control. My cravings are uncontrollable. I can't control my eating. If I say no to someone offering me food, it will hurt that person's feelings. Like, let me know in chat. Yes, no.
That's a big one. That's a big one, especially in my household, because my husband does the cooking, okay? And if I don't have like a hearty portion, it's like, what's wrong with my cooking?
Yeah. How about this one? And we spoke about this with clients yesterday. My client called this the clean plate. She said, how do I cure from clean plate-itis? I said, you don't have an itis. You don't have a disease. We're not curing anything. But how about this? Do you have this thought? I am wasteful if I don't finish my plate, if I don't finish the food on my plate, if I don't clean my plate, or I need to wait until I have better control over my feelings before I can, be more social, or I need to wait until my body is perfect before I can go out and do X, Y, Z, or, feeling fat means I'm lazy. How about that one? Or I don't deserve to buy nice clothes until I am a size fill in the blank. Or if I messed, this is a big one. I messed up, so there's no point in trying to turn it around. I might as well give up. And so thoughts, what's up here, or those interpretations of your thoughts can create our feelings, and our feelings influence our behaviors. Behavior is how you show up in the world. It's your identity. So we're going to navigate today, like, the possibility of freeing yourself from difficult emotions, changing your relationship with your thoughts, your thinking. And I heard this story once about, picture, especially if like you're a mom, right? Or you have kids or nieces or nephews, little kids. So picture an elderly man sitting on a park bench, watching his grandkids play in the sandbox. And then the child is like, struggling with his emotions, right? Like most toddlers do, right? Like he's kind of struggling. He's upset. He's building a sandcastle. It's not working. He's getting really angry and kind of throwing a little bit of a tantrum. Would that elderly man, would that grandpa go up and scold the child like, you're upset about a stupid sandcastle? No, he wouldn't, right? Even the prospect of that is so absurd. It's almost a little bit humorous. Grandpa watching a child play would notice, observe with so much kindness, so much wisdom, and so much perspective. So similarly, I want to invite you to consider the possibility of noticing your thoughts as you would imagine, an elderly person would watch a child play in the sandbox with so much curiosity, so much distance, and so much wisdom, outside person looking in.
And compassion as well, right?
Compassion, exactly. Compassion, self-compassion. So, it's so important. And many of our thoughts serve us and many of them don't. And it's important to recognize that, right? We might find ourselves caught up in these really unproductive mental traps that feel really imprisoning. And the problem with thoughts, the problem with thinking is only humans can bring negative events into any setting at any moment, right? We can, that's our thought process. You might be on some like wonderful beach vacation and it's so beautiful. And suddenly you think about food and you're not even near food, but you may like notice yourself, oh my God, my mouth is watering. I need to like go to the nearest snack bar. I need to get some chocolate. I need to find a vending machine. And even in the absence of physical hunger, you're like fantasizing about food and you feel stuck in this fantasy. And then you go out of your way to eat based on thoughts. This is based on thinking, right? Language, cognition. It's really based on the capacity of like to relate events to one another. And we may like find ourselves making these connections. And because this process is connecting so like, it's so essential to how our brains work, we might lose lose contact and lose connection with the fact that our connections aren't necessarily true, like real versus imagined, right? The phantom versus not. But our minds often hold on to those ideas as fact. Okay, maybe you had this thought, nothing's going to work. Why would this work for me? Right? Maybe you're exploring a new possibility. Maybe you're exploring to work with someone. Maybe you're exploring like a new program or something, right? Why? Well, nothing's going to work because so far your efforts haven't succeeded. And simply that thought, nothing will work, may cause you to then feel helpless and get in your own way by pursuing behaviors that allow you, to self-sabotage. Your thoughts actually set you up for that.
Right.
But like break that down for a second. What really is the thought process? These 3 words, nothing will work. Basic, core, it's a string of letters put together. It's 3 words, right? But relating to that thought as though it were really valid, as if it were really true, can lead to really painful feelings. Like that thought process, those 3 words can be really damaging and turn into behaviors that shape your life. And so, do you notice yourself being caught up in thoughts and those thoughts were simply not true? Right?
I think we're also just so used to this flow of thoughts, this script, that maybe just even you calling these things out right now, many of us are probably thinking, well, I haven't even stopped to analyze that or to think to analyze that.
Sure. I'll give you another example. Like before I completely switched my own careers, right around 2017-ish, that was sort of like my pivotal years. I used to practice law. So I was a former attorney. And I remember in law school many moons ago, first day of school, right? I remember one of my professors said this to me. He says, a certain percentage of your classmates to your left and to your right will not graduate within 3 years. And I know they say the same thing in like medical school, right? Like there's a certain percent. And I probably had a thought something like, what if that's me? And I could have thought, well, what am I going to do if I fail out? And that sort of thinking can come without any evidence to substantiate that fear. Like 0 evidence to substantiate or any fear. And a thought is a thought is a thought. And what if I like kept thinking that thought and then started to believe that it was real? Chances are that would have just like self-sabotaged my own academic abilities. Right? Those fears matter, but a thought is a thought is a thought. And to differentiate thoughts from facts, we have to say, hey, is this going to hold up? Like even, all right, go back to the lawyer thing. Like you don't need to be a lawyer and have a legal education to know, hey, is this going to hold up in a court of law, right? Just say, will a jury of my peers agree and conclude nothing will work? Go back to that. There's a big difference between noticing your thoughts and then believing your thoughts. The first is really mindful, opens up many possibilities. The second is not mindful and can lead you into perpetuating cycles of negative, habitual behaviors. So I'm going to get into something called toxic nutritional beliefs. So I started a little bit more esoteric. I know we're talking sort of broader here. And now we're going to dive into a little bit more of these really specific beliefs called toxic nutritional beliefs. And for the majority of people with unwanted eating challenges, in order to heal, in order to transform, in order to have freedom with food, it really comes when we can identify and then let go of our toxic nutritional beliefs. So first off, what is a toxic nutritional belief? Toxic nutritional beliefs are false or incorrect, factually incorrect, or outdated dietary or nutritional beliefs and assumptions. I'll repeat that. A toxic nutritional belief is a false or factually incorrect or outdated dietary or nutritional belief and assumption. Now, these are beliefs that we have around food, around body, around life that are as potent or potentially more toxic as a really bad ingredient in food. And when not until they are identified or challenged or removed, we will have some real unnecessary suffering around food, body, and health. And this is why it's so important. So even if you have the right food, you have the right exercise, you have the right medicine, you have the right, metabolism, there are some people who are not going to change because of their toxic nutritional beliefs. They won't lose the weight, or they'll continue to overeat emotionally and binge eat because they have these toxic beliefs that are running their lives, causing them stress. And we're going to talk about stress today, and overpowering their metabolism, overpowering their physiology, overpowering their behaviors, their choices, their lifestyles, right? And they really powerfully hold us back. They keep us a bit hypnotized. They disempower us. These toxic nutritional beliefs will impact our metabolism, which means fat burning, right? If you're on a weight journey, this is important. It limits your potential in that realm. So we are sort of in deep need of a belief system change, right? Mindset is powerful. Beliefs are powerful. Thoughts are powerful. They change our feelings. They change our behaviors. So let's talk about 7 very common toxic nutritional beliefs. First is fat is bad. Fat is bad. It makes me fat. Super outdated nutritional belief. This has been around since probably the 60s. It has been disproven thousands and thousands of times. Yes, true. Poor quality fat, probably nutritionally damaging to the body. We're talking synthetic fats, hydrogenated oils, things that are really stripped of the essential fatty acids, which are essential. And those damaging fats can contribute to weight gain. But dietary fat, essential fatty acids, dietary fat, the good, the necessary fats, it's not bad for us. In fact, it is quite necessary. It is called essential for a reason. And a lack of essential fats in our body can create weight loss resistance, can cause weight gain, can cause a lot of other symptoms in our physiology and in our mood. So dietary fat is bad.
That's a biggie. That's a biggie. And for the past couple of years, once I got over the whole fat thing, I have half an avocado for breakfast every morning.
Yeah.
I never thought that it, and I'm so happy and I love it. And it doesn't make me
So if you are someone who's on like the fat-free this or the non-fat this or the low-fat this kick, like please keep this into consideration. This is it's a belief. It's a belief system that's been ingrained over and over and over. We went through a huge fat-free, and this was me. I used to get those like
in the 90s,
Snackwell cookies, those fat-free cookies. I mean, like all the craziness, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, the next one is I'm going to kind of combine the next 3, which is food makes me fat. Food is the enemy. Okay. This could be the most deadly one, right? Why is food the enemy? Because food makes me fat. If I'm fat, no one will love me, and the world hates fat people, right? So, I mean, I'm saying this broadly, right? There is this world hate, this weight hate that we have in this world. It's terrible. And so people think, oh my God, food makes me gain weight. But the mind believes a lot of nonsense because, again, our thoughts are very powerful. So the mind will think, food is bad. Food is the enemy. Food makes me fat. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to eat the food because it'll make you fat because it's the enemy. So some people don't even know or will admit that this is the belief they had. And so many people are walking around, if only I could limit my food. If only I could restrict my food. If only I could find that next best diet where I'm so restricted, that's how I'm going to lose the weight. Because food is bad. Food is the enemy. And limit my appetite. And so that third toxic nutrition belief, or actually 4th on the list, is appetite is my enemy. So appetite becomes the enemy too. It's another belief. If I didn't have an appetite, then I wouldn't need to eat food. Right? So guys, you need food to live. Food is not the enemy. Food is your friend. Food makes you live. Food nourishes you. Important word. Food builds your body. Yes, certain foods, again, right? Like nutritionally damaging, hydrogenated oils and like, things like that are processed garbage, right? Certain foods in certain amounts may cause weight gain. But food is not the enemy. Appetite is not the enemy. Appetite is your friend. If you do not have an appetite, you won't eat, which means you die. Simple. And I'm pretty straightforward here. Like, this is very much, this is how it is. If you're walking around thinking, hey, food is the enemy, appetite is the enemy, your brain perceives an enemy. And here's the important relationship to stress and the stress hormonal response. If your brain perceives an enemy, your brain goes into stress response. That's the brain's job. What happens in and the brain doesn't distinguish between like an actual real threat, a real enemy, like, I don't know, someone who's holding a gun to your head. That's a real threat. A bear like that you confront in the middle of a hiking trail. Yep, real threat. Your brain doesn't distinguish between that type of real threat and then like a perceived threat or an imagined threat in your brain. So the brain is like, oh crap, food is the enemy, appetite is the enemy. I'm going to go in a stress response. So my heart rate goes up and my blood pressure goes up and blood is rushing away from the midsection and it's going into like, you know, your legs and arms for like a fight or flight response, and it's going away from your digestive system. Your digestive system shuts down, your metabolism slows down, you know, blood rushes to your head so you can think better. Your appetite is totally deregulated in a full-blown stress response. Metabolism is totally screwed up. This is all a hormonal stress response. And then day in and day out, when you have these low-level stress responses, self-chosen, of course, because food is the enemy, and I'm choosing to think food is the enemy. These are unnecessary self-chosen stress responses. It increases your stress hormone response. It increases your cortisol levels. It increases your insulin levels, which signals your body to store more fat.
Absolutely. This makes so much sense. Let us know in the chat. Give a thumbs up if this is making sense.
Yeah, please do. And please also like drop a comment, drop a question if this is, if you're not following, because sometimes I speak fast. I'm from the New York area, so sometimes I can talk too fast. So if you need me to slow down, I want you to understand this stress response that can, simply because of the way that we're thinking and the stress response we're putting ourselves in, can contribute to this hormonal stress response, which causes us to store fat or store weight or not build muscle, which is the opposite of what we are seeking if we want to achieve our sort of natural weight. If we're on a weight journey, if we're on a place where we want to shape shift our bodies from a healthy way, that's probably the opposite of the outcome that you're looking for. Right. All right, next one.
In terms of the ladies in my world, right? 50 and up, peri and post menopause, it's like this eating well and being at a healthy weight makes such a difference to whether or not people have menopausal symptoms. So it's not even about how you look in your clothes, but how, you know, because there are also people who kind of like, if you want to call it like skinny fat, right? They're very, very restrictive all the time. So they may not appear overweight, but they still have this very restrictive mindset that may be causing menopausal symptoms because they're not nourishing themselves. Because appetite's the enemy, and you are going to get an appetite. You're going to feel hungry. So am I right in thinking that often it can lead you down this path? Well, if appetite's the enemy and I'm feeling hungry, then I'm the enemy.
Absolutely. And yeah, and we're going to talk about that in terms of your identity, right? We start to internalize our own thoughts and feelings. And because again, your thoughts shape your feelings shape your behaviors shape your identity of who you are, right? You know, food is bad. I ate the food that's bad. Now I'm bad. And so now you're demonizing yourself as opposed to demonizing the food.
And then you go grab a cookie because now you're bad, so you need to comfort yourself.
Exactly. And then the cycle just repeats itself, and around and around and around you go. You're riding the roller coaster ride for quite a long time. Another toxic nutritional belief, which is a very common one, also been around for a long time, super archaic. Number one formula for weight loss in the scientific community has been used for over 70 years. Ready? Less food plus more exercise equals less weight. Guys, super teeny subset of the community that this works for and might be sustainable, but it is really tiny Okay, 98 to 99% of people who lose weight on a restrictive diet gain it back within a year. That is a stunning statistic. And the weight loss industry, the multi-billion-dollar weight loss industry, doesn't want you to know that statistic. It highlights people's short-term success. Oh, drop weight in 30 days, right? Like drop weight in 60 days. What happens after the 60 days, right? It never, ever talks about that. This is the formula of less calories in, more exercise, calories out equals sustainable weight loss. If this would have worked, if this works sustainably, it would have worked decades and decades and decades ago. And it is so complex. I give a 90-minute masterclass almost on this whole topic of, what are the things that it's not actually addressing. This little formula, the formula doesn't address so much, right? Hormones, it doesn't address our mindset. It doesn't address our gender, our sleep, our psychology. It doesn't address so much. And so if you have like generations after generations of people who are like either starving themselves on these restrictive diets or totally over exercising and not having sustainable long-term weight loss and being miserable in the process, right? Obsessing about food, thinking about it, constantly like fighting themselves, white knuckling themselves, punishing themselves, super toxic belief. Next one up is the diet must be perfect. And the quest for the perfect diet is always out there because, hey, if I have the perfect diet, then I'll have the perfect body and then the perfect health. So there's only one way to eat, the only one way to be, and it has to be perfect. And that's absolutely illusory. This is really filled with a lot of limitation and perfectionism and frustration. It's super narrow. It sets high standards that are like unrealistic to meet. And ultimately, when we set high standards that are unrealistic and we can't meet them, then we fail. So we're setting ourselves up to fail. And that perfectionism, that type of perfectionism, that all or nothing mentality, it's very self-abusive. It leads to a lot of unhappiness and sense of failure, where ultimately we think that any future effort that we make will ultimately lead in failure because that's all we know. So we have to change the belief system. We have to let go of that perfectionism. Okay, final toxic nutritional belief, and then we're going to get into some eating psychology, holistic approaches. I call it the I'll be happy when syndrome. Okay, so I'll be happy when ... right? Like I'll be happy when I lose the weight. If only I were thin, I'd be happy. If only I looked or ate a certain way, I'd be happy. If only I weighed a certain number, if only I followed a certain body, if only I, then I would be happy. Now, this is a huge one. And we're going to revisit this when we talk about our 7 principles of eating psychology. But think about, and like, please let us know in the chat, guys, if you are or have ever felt that way, if you ever thought this. And also, have you ever met someone with a perfect body? Like a Hollywood celebrity. How many times do we see this in the news? How many times do we see this where you see these Instagram picture perfect people who are so miserable? Right? Literally, doesn't matter. Looking a certain weight guarantees us absolutely nothing. Sure, could I be happier if I'm healthier? Sure, could I be happier if I have the body I want? And I could also be happier in the body I have right now and work really lovingly toward that goal of shape-shifting my body into a healthier place. There is a difference. The journey informs the destination. Okay, it's about the journey. Do I fight my way now, punish myself, restrict and punish with diets and exercise? Or can I be happy now and work towards my goals in a real happy way? People who have this particular toxic belief, which is like the majority of the people in my world, if only I weighed a certain amount, looked a certain way, then I'll be happy. It essentially means this: I will not be happy until you are declaring yourself to the world, to the universe, that I ain't going to be happy until I hit this certain number. I hit this perfect body. I hit this perfect shape, this perfectionism again, right? I'm trying to be perfect And so my happiness is contingent upon this perfection that's never going to happen, this perfection that's in my head, this unrealistic standard. So like misery and suffering, begins, and it tends not to end because I can never meet my high standard. We need to be happy now. We need to learn how to take your ultimate belief, interject it now, on your goal. The journey informs the destination. So, every toxic nutritional belief sends us into like a way of being and a way of eating and a way of behaving that sets us up. It kind of takes us in the opposite direction of where we actually want to go. And like I said, most toxic nutritional beliefs have us in a physiologic stress response. Stress response doesn't just mean we're feeling stressed. It means our bodies are jacking up cortisol and insulin and storing more fat, opposite of what we want if we're on a weight journey. They're inherently a catch-22. Toxic beliefs are a catch-22. It's like a bit of a conundrum. They run us like a computer program. Like they absolutely like run us. And for me, as a practitioner in this space where I see this every day, the toxic nutritional beliefs that I identify in my clients quite literally tell me where the work needs to happen. We cannot heal, we cannot transform, we cannot let go of our unwanted eating challenges until we are able to really become aware, really see and examine, embrace, and then forgive and let go of those toxic nutritional beliefs. That's really my job, to expose those beliefs, help clients correct those types of beliefs. It's a core strategy in eating psychology and mind body nutrition. By working on our inner world, right, our personal world, healing our inner self, we can create real profound changes in our metabolic world, our fat burning world. Another way to say this, personal power, our personal world, personal power equals metabolic power, right? Aspects of your life, family, work, relationships, money, your beliefs, sexuality, personal history, like a lot of these things, so much more, impact our metabolic power, our hormonal chemistry, our health, our physiology, right? So I'm curious, like what your questions are about that, or what your takeaways are about that. So please feel free to comment in the chat or ask questions. And as you guys do that, I'm going to get into and lead into some of the principles of eating psychology where there's a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Like there's a better approach than being stuck in our toxic nutritional beliefs. Most people don't realize this because we know what we know. We don't know what we don't know. So consider if sometimes if you want to find innovation in any field, right, we need to go to the outskirts, the leading edge, the place where the possibilities and creativity is like out there, something new, something different, where no solution actually existed. And working with weight and a successful weight takes a bit of an inquisitive mind and needs a little bit of curiosity and openness and a willingness to step into the unknown. So, I mentioned I've been teaching women to work with unwanted eating challenges for over 6 years now. Women from different backgrounds, lifestyles, health challenges, health conditions. But the feedback that I receive is so positive and inspiring. And it's impossible to kind of convey everything about, weight in this sort of short little journey. But I just want to highlight these 7 approaches of a weight loss coaching journey in terms of this holistic approach, this eating psychology approach, where, we're looking at things other than our toxic nutritional beliefs, because that's what the diet industry does, right? That's what a lot of people are stuck in, their toxic nutritional beliefs. So I'll start with the first, which is consider eating psychology. Consider psychology, not just nutrition. Simple enough, right? Yes, we work with nutrition. Nutrition's important. Fueling your body with the right nutrient dense food, absolutely super important, right? We can't just change our mind and then live at McDonald's. Not going to work. But we need to understand the mind of the eater, like the eating psychology, the mind, our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our food story. We need to learn how our inner world impacts our eating choices, our behaviors. You know, so many well-intentioned people go into the fields of like nutrition and health coaching, you know, dietetics, etc. Like if I learn all the secrets of nutritional science, I can solve everybody's, you know, unwanted eating concerns. And that sounds good and seems to make sense, but what we eat is half the story.
Right.
The food is half the story. I would even argue less than half the story. Who we are as eaters is the other half. Who we are as eaters, how we eat as eaters, who we are is the other half. So many people, even if you are given the most amazing, like dietary advice, nutrition advice, the best meal plan, the best celebrity diet, right? Like most people don't comply. So it doesn't matter what the food is. It's the same version of the same story. Like, I know what I'm supposed to eat. I know what you told me to do. I get it. I know what to do. I just can't do it. So nutrition knowledge is not enough to help most people achieve sustainability. And this is where eating psychology comes into play, because there's this like such a huge gap in our knowledge, in our like global conversation around weight and eating challenges. You know, the people who want help with weight, overeating, emotional eating, binge eating, constant food worry, endless dieting, like a significant part of people are being underserved when it comes to these concerns. Okay. Humans have minds, we have emotions, we have feelings, and these impact our relationship with food. This is why I chose to specialize in this area. This is why I chose to take a mind-body approach, you know, with my clients. So, you know, key point number one, please consider eating psychology, who we are as eaters. Number two, please end your chronic dieting. Now, some of these are a little bit interrelated to your toxic nutritional beliefs, right? But again, dieting, restricting the calories, over exercising, calories in, calories out, like this is not working for us for the long haul. We talked about why that is a few moments ago. But when you hear these words, dieting doesn't work, let me know in chat, like what do you feel when you hear that? Like pop in the comments. What do you think when you hear the words dieting doesn't work? What's the conversation in your head? Dieting doesn't work. For many people, dieting, it's a very confusing paradox. Because
it's like dieting works for everybody except for me. There's something wrong with me because it's working for everybody else, but it's not working for me.
And maybe you've done a bunch of dieting in your lifetime, and chances are you did have some success at some point. Maybe you did eat less. Maybe you did exercise more. Maybe you did lose the weight. And then you're like, aha, but dieting works. Here's the thing. Sustainability is key. 98% of people who go on a restrictive diet gain it back within the year and then some. Something happens, life goes on, stress happens, not enough time in the day. I went off my diet. I got tired of it. I lost my motivation. I got sick. Someone else got sick. There was a death in the family. I moved across the country. You know, life, shit, stress, crap, life, guys, life has ebbs and flows. You know, life creates challenges. And so what happens? The weight creeps back on. So the answer, we think, oh my God, I need to return to the diet because didn't that work before? I just need to diet again. I need to find a new diet. I need to go search around the corner and look for the new best fad, quick fix, like drop 30 pounds in 30 days. I just need more willpower. I just need the motivation. Welcome to the world of yo-yo dieting. Welcome to the world of chronic yo-yo dieting, where you are stuck on that hamster wheel for years, decades, or more. It works until it doesn't work. And that's because the strategy is not sustainable. So dieting trains you, here, write this guys down. Dieting trains you and your body how not to eat. How not to eat. Meaning, like dieting, it does its best to train you to resist food, to suppress your appetite because, oh, toxic nutritional belief, appetite's the enemy, to eat as little as you can because, oh, food is the enemy, to not enjoy food because if I enjoy food, then I'm going to want more. And if I eat more, food is bad, food is bad, food's going to make me fat, right? Stay away from the fun foods, stay away from the forbidden foods, because then you're going to want lots of those once you get started. Like dieting is one no after the next no, after the next no, after the next no. If you want to find your natural, rightful weight and health, right, you need to learn how to eat, not how not to eat. Right? We need to help people learn how to eat. Be an eater, right? How to eat. That's a big part of the challenge. We need to learn how to become an eater. Okay, you're like, Jessica, what does that mean? Right? I thought this wasn't about food. Okay, it means discovering for yourself how to nourish yourself with food, how to eat with awareness, presence, mindfulness, intention, consciousness. This is all synonyms of the same word, right? How to receive pleasure with food. Food should be damn good and make you feel real good. How to listen to your appetite, how to listen to your satiety, your satiation cues, how to listen to your hunger, fullness, how to be an intuitive eater, tuning into your unique body wisdom. Okay. How to learn to not rely on food as a way to cope with our emotions. This is where mindless eating, emotional eating, binge eating comes into play. Okay. What does it mean to be an eater? It means how to put your body in a relaxation response when you eat. Again, you can have stress response, which causes all the craziness that we talked about before, the fight or flight response, or we can be in a relaxation, calm response. Being in a relaxation response creates the best state of digestion, assimilation of nutrients, appetite regulation, and calorie burning efficiency. And your cortisol and your insulin levels aren't jacked up, storing more fat. Relaxation response, that's how to be an eater. When you can't lose the weight, you need to learn that food is not the enemy, right? Then that's when you can, sustain your natural weight in an easy way. So dieting takes us away from really realizing our weight loss desires. This is why this is a big point, this key point of end chronic dieting. And learning to be an eater is the only real diet out there. That's the diet. Learning to be an eater, which is all the things that I just mentioned. Letting go of the dieting universe and the shortcomings in the dieting world, that's honest and transformational. Okay. Number 3, achieve the end results in the beginning. Kind of talked about this a little bit so far about the I'll be happy when syndrome. So I said I would revisit this. This is where I'm going to revisit this. We want to be happy. It's about feeling good. Right? The vast majority of us who want to lose weight, keep it off is that reason. We want to be happy. We want to be confident. Some might say they want to be healthier, be lighter, fit into their clothes. But even those reasons still point to something a little bit greater, which is we want joy, we want happiness. And what generally happens is then we go about the business of weight loss with all those outdated strategies, fighting food, fighting ourselves, fighting our appetite, fighting our body fat, thinking unkind thoughts about ourselves, body image, how we look, and what that means as who we are as human beings, like the identity, right? The cookie is bad. I ate the cookie, so I'm bad. Now I'm bad. Self-shame. So far too many people do their best to lose weight by hating themselves, attacking themselves, punishing themselves into weight loss. How can we take a road of self-attack and self-bullying and expect it to bring us to an ultimate destination of happiness? The journey informs the destination. It's impossible. We cannot take the road of self-attack and self-bullying and expect to have happiness. right? The journey informs the destination. If you take a road to weight loss that's filled with unkindness, self-attack, self-bullying, that's the destination that you're heading. So, as I mentioned before, the way that we do this is achieve the end results in the beginning. Do a complete inventory for yourselves. Articulate all the reasons why you want to lose the weight. Get really clear. What do I expect as the end result of hitting my magical weight loss number, right? I'll be happy when, ... fill in the blank. Fill in the blank, brainstorm, jot it down, do a little bit of journaling. Right? I'll be happy when, what is it? I don't know. Write it down. Throw it in chat. I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when, I don't know, I lose the weight, right? Or how about this? When I lose the weight, ... fill it in. When I lose the weight, I'll be more confident. I'll be the real me. I'll put myself out there. I'll be ready to date. I'll feel lighter. I'll fit in my clothes. I'll be healthier. I'll be more confident. Did I say that already? I'll be happier. Whatever it is. You get clarity, point out most of what we want in the future, when I lose the weight is something you can actually start having more of right now. You can act and be more confident now. You can date now. You can be more intimate with your spouse now. You can be more out there socially now. You can feel lighter now. Oftentimes, it's our self-attack and self-rejection around weight that makes us feel heavy, not the actual weight itself. The point is we can navigate what we actually ultimately want and start being the real you now. As you work towards your weight goals, as you work towards your health goals, whatever those goals may be, but you do not have to put your life on hold. Far too many people are putting their life on hold and waiting for a day that has yet to come and might not come. So you kind of are sitting on the sidelines of your life, waiting for some dream that may or may not happen. Ask yourself how you want to spend the rest of your days. Weight loss can become a lot easier when we adopt this approach. It becomes more inspiring. It becomes less stressful. It becomes more in alignment with how life actually works. Weight loss doesn't guarantee happiness. Remember, celebrities, skinny celebrities, right? Like, not all happy people, right? There are plenty of people with that ideal body and they have the ideal shape and that perfection. They're miserable again. And likewise, there are plenty of people who are in bigger bodies and they are living a nice, good, great, happy, wonderful life. My job here is really helping, women fulfill their highest and best potential. No more waiting. It's doing it now. And that's how, finding your ideal weight comes more naturally. And clients find their happiness sooner when this happens. Hoping this makes sense again. Drop chat if you have any questions. We're going to go on to number 4. Don't underestimate that stress-weight connection. Again, one of the biggest factors in unwanted weight gain is stress. Okay, how exactly is stress connected to weight? Again, stress response. Okay, there was a study, actually there's a commonly repeated study. I'm going to analogize to mice for a second. So there's a laboratory of mice. They're given a nice, healthy mouse environment with like food, exercise wheels, temperature control, no stressors, lots of happy, playful, active, perfect, wonderful little weight mice, okay? Then there's this like group of mice, same conditions, except you add a stressor. You add like unpredictable intermittent shocks to the cage, like boom, 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 right? And they're shocked. Things go totally south. The mice become irritable, less playful. They fight with one another. And even though they are given the same amount of food, the mice in the shocking cage, the stressful cage, become obese. Same food, stressful scenario, obese. Yes, it's mice, but listen, humans, stress can lead to weight gain. This is known and it is seen in animal models. It's seen in human studies. Increased levels of hormones, of cortisol and insulin are considered the main chemical culprits that cause the body to store more fat. Physiologically, that's just, it just is what it is. I'm sure Tracy has talked about this, time and time again. It's also more complex than that because during a stress response, as I mentioned before, appetite regulation is skewed and confused. Your digestive capacity and your metabolism decreases. The assimilation of nutrients is impaired. Your calorie burning capacity is decreased. That's really profound here as it relates to stress. And there are different types of stress, right? Stress that we can't avoid, sick family members, a divorce, grief, etc., state of the world. And there's a second kind of stress called self-chosen stress. This is the stress that we don't need. It's optional, it's self-generated, and it's the thoughts. It's the toxic nutritional beliefs, you guys. I'm not good enough. I'm too fat. I'm unlovable. I'll never be happy at this weight. This sort of thing. Right? I've worked with so many people over the years who seemingly did everything right when it came to weight loss, diet, exercise, no sugar, fasting, all the things, couldn't lose a pound. And I see time and time again that our self-chosen stressors literally lock us into a certain weight plateau, cause weight loss resistance, neutralize our weight loss efforts, and we're unhappy. But we're stressed, makes sense. So again, time to relax into this journey. The more stressed you are about losing weight, the more you're generating the kind of chemistry, the kind of hormones that keep the weight on. Kind of ironic, right? Remember I said toxic nutritional beliefs, they're like this catch-22. They're very ironic. So we have to notice the thoughts and beliefs that are holding you in self-attack. Help you see how is my mind creating stress chemistry via those unwanted, unkind thoughts that it's thinking. How is the stress response? How can that, maybe that's the missing piece to my weight loss puzzle, right? And this is what we do. I'm trained in how to look at like key life domains and stresses that we experience and how to connect them to this weight gain, weight loss resistance. And again, money, work, relationships, children, sexuality, spirituality, our life. When we address what's eating at us, no pun intended, in life, in a really effective and positive way, we literally can change our physiology. Number 5, and I'm going to be mindful of time too, Tracy, so you cut me off if you need to, but find the hidden wisdom behind your eating challenge. I love this one. We need to introduce ourselves to a new way of looking at eating challenges. So we're taught, hey, weight is the problem, overeating is a problem, binge eating is a problem, emotional eating is a problem, and we scurry around and we try to solve the problem. We try to fix ourselves. The problem, it's not really a problem. And you don't have to be fixed. You're not broken. These are all experiences that are trying to teach us, and we need to find the wisdom because these are behaviors that are trying to talk to us. They are teaching us about ourselves. If you struggle with emotional eating, binge eating, overeating, chronic dieting behaviors, this is important stuff. We need to find the wisdom. What are my behaviors trying to teach me about myself, about life, about how to be an eater? Right? Many people gain weight because they emotionally eat, but emotional eating is not a problem. It's a solution. It's our best attempt in the moment to manage the unwanted emotion. We use food to handle uncomfortable feelings and experiences. When it comes to overeating, many people eat too much because they eat too fast. When this happens, our gut-brain connection, basically our brain and our stomach, they don't have enough time to catch up to one another. So the head brain doesn't have time to scan the body, assess your nutritional intake, communicate, and then determine if you're full or not. In other words, there's a really, really important, brilliant reason, either biology or psychology or both, as to why we have a particular eating behavior that's unwanted. And when you determine what those brilliant reasons are, or you have someone help you determine what those brilliant reasons are, you can transform your eating challenges. You can transform your weight concerns. And this approach really helps clients understand, why they do things, why they say they wish they didn't do, right? Why it helps them let go of guilt and shame, why they feel empowered with this knowledge. Far too many people are struggling with weight struggles, and they're in this self-blame game. And these really, these emotions stop us from being effective when it comes to shedding that excess weight that we're on. So let's just be really clear, right? You do not have an issue. You do not have a problem. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken if you can't lose the weight. You're on a journey. You're on a journey to learn, to grow through your eating concerns, to notice, hey, what's the wisdom in this behavior? And that's how we can get to true root cause of a weight loss challenge. It puts you on that road to success, right? This is a mature, transformational approach in mind-body eating. All right, next up is get back in your body. Another way of saying that is embody. I think Tracy might love this one because one of the biggest challenges that weight loss, clients or people on a weight loss journey, face is they have abandoned their body. Meaning, like, we often decide, you're like, since I have this extra weight, this isn't my real body. I don't like this body. I refuse this body. I protest it. Who could accept such a body? So therefore, I won't be in my body. I'm not going to occupy it. I'm checking out. Not going to re-enter this body until I have my ideal, perfect body and I've lost all the weight. It's very disembodying. It's a way to protest unwanted weight. And we convince ourselves that, again, we will inhabit our body once again, once it's looking all thin and fabulous. Then we'll feel alive. Then we'll feel the real me. Again, I'll be happy when, right? Then I'll nourish myself. Then I'll take care of myself. But meantime, I'll be living in my head and disregarding all of my, my demands to, look exactly how I want to. Okay. Losing weight is a big ask of the body. It takes presence and it requires awareness and mindfulness and attention. And it's like driving a car. If you want it to go somewhere, you got to get it inside, sit down, put your seatbelt on, turn on the ignition, pay attention to the road, look both ways, adjust your mirrors, same with the body. Body's not going anywhere until you are truly in it. No embodiment, no weight loss. No happy weight loss, for sure. So letting go of, body fat as a goal in a sustainable way. If you want to achieve that, your natural weight, your natural shape, being successful long-term, assess the degree to which you are inhabiting and living in your body. If you've checked out, you need to check back in. Getting back into your body looks different for everyone. It happens in baby steps. It might be like gentle movement, self-care, nourishing yourself with food, incorporating more pleasure in your life other than food, right? For emotional reasons, playing a favorite sport, finding joy in movement, finding movement that you love, dancing, yoga, I don't know, whatever it is. Losing weight is more nuanced. It's not just attacking a bunch of body fat. And we can achieve that natural weight that we're looking for when we are living in accordance with the wisdom of the body. Last one. Do I have time for one more? Okay, we're good. All right, work with your weight loss archetypes. Here is one of the best kept secrets. I love to work in archetypes. This is a lot of coaching and counseling psychology. Every individual is not just one person. And you're like, huh, what does that mean? Okay, each one of us has a lot of different voices or personas or what I call archetypes inside of us, okay? And they're interchangeable. So I'll give you a couple of examples, like the hero archetype or the perfectionist archetype or the inner child in us, the rebel, the hedonist, the king, the queen. There's a lot. I'm not going to go through all of them. I have lots of trainings on them. If you're interested in archetypes, feel free to reach out to me. But what does this have to do with weight loss? It has to do with weight loss because when we eat, one of our archetypes sits at the head of the table and it gives the orders and the instructions and makes our food choices. So if you've ever said to yourself, I know what I'm supposed to eat, I know what to do, I just don't do it, like I sabotage myself, I don't know why, there's an archetype inside of you that has taken over your conscious awareness and is calling the shots with the food choices. And that might be your inner rebel. Nobody tells me what to do. I'll eat whatever I want, whenever I want it. No restrictions. Don't tell me what to do, right? Or it's like the inner child who simply is screaming at you, I want sugar. I want it now. I want it because I say so. I don't care about the consequences. Like, think about your little kids. Or it's like the hedonist, the inner hedonist that might convince you, oh, this is going to be so good. Like, go for it. You're going to die anyway. Enjoy yourself. You can diet tomorrow. Or the perfectionist is like, I need to eat only a tiny amount of food so I can have my ideal weight and create the perfect body. And I need to find all the willpower so I can find my perfect diet and follow it perfectly and be perfect. Whatever it is, we have to understand that these different voices show up at different times and how they might be benefiting us or getting in our way, and how we can call upon archetypes. Maybe it's your adult king or adult queen in you to help you be present and conscious and make really good decisions and help you make healthy, satisfying relationships with food and body. Super scratch the surface on this one. Again, like I do a lot of trainings in this, but that's really, and I feel like just this whole talk, it's really kind of scratching the surface in this terms of like a newer, holistic way to approach weight and its loss, and how working in our mindset and working in these toxic nutritional beliefs and working in a much more psychological approach to weight can be so transformational. And I hope you guys have been open-minded about this. I hope this has been helpful. Let's say goodbye to old, outdated ways of going about the business of weight loss. Help you find freedom, help you find happiness that you're ultimately looking for, and really start that process now. I really thank you so much, Tracy, for your time. I know we are pretty much up on time, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk. If you guys have questions, please feel free to either pop them in chat or reach out to me. Oh, you're unmuted. You're muted, Tracy.
That was amazing. I would love you to come back to talk to us more about archetypes. This is like really getting to the core. I mean, in the Reshape method, which is my movement program, we touch on nutrition, but this is what it's really about, I believe, as well, is that there's something else going on, right? And unless you acknowledge what's actually driving your choices, everything is going to be so much harder. This seems like it's very confronting work, I'm assuming, right?
It's inner healing.
Yes.
It's inner healing work. Confronting, sure, maybe. I like to look at it as leaning into your fear and discomfort.
Yes.
And finding out more about yourself, and exploring new opportunities to learn about you and what's getting in your own way.
But at the end of the day, it's the detour that's the shortcut.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you. That was
thank you.
So enlightening. All very, very I do like mind-blowing thoughts. Every single one of them is like, yes. So we do have a question. And this is something that has actually been brought up a couple of times this week from various people. And I would love to know your take on this. So we have someone who says, I have a sweet tooth. Okay. I have a sweet tooth. And my challenge is I need a sweet treat after my main meal, which leads me to making unhealthy food choices, such as a cookie or a piece of chocolate. It is difficult to curb my craving for sweets.
Yes. I get this all the time. I have a great resource for you. I'll can drop it in chat if you want. Cravings are either physical and or emotional. And so we need to explore that. Is it physical? Why? We need to look at macronutrient balance. We need to look at what you're eating, what you've been eating, what you're doing, all the physiology, right? Are you getting the right macro and micronutrients? There are physical reasons for cravings, okay? There's also emotional reasons. There might be a combination of both. So we really need to dive into that in terms of looking at what's happening physically and what's happening on the emotional, psychological, mental mindset side. You can look at I have an emotional eating toolkit, and it kind of goes through these steps where you can sort of decipher oh, hey, physically this is happening, or emotionally this is happening, or maybe both are happening. And these are some steps that, you can sort of take to get there.
Amazing. And so how can people learn more about what you do? How can they work with you? What do you offer?
Do you want me to drop some things in chat
Yeah,
or
please do.
okay.
Please do. Please do.
So I would suggest first of all, if you go to my website, lowyowellness.com, I'll put that on here as well. There's some resources there. You can learn more about me there. You can follow me at Jessica Kishpaugh Coaching on Facebook and Instagram. That's at Jessica Kishpaugh Coaching. And then I have these two like resources. They are complementary. So the emotional eating toolkit is one that I just mentioned. It goes through your physical and your emotional cravings and explores ways that you can, make some tweaks and changes and see what's happening. There's also, we talked a lot about our mindset, our food mindset today. And so I have a Let Go of Our Dieting Mindset. It's a 5-day mini course. It gets emailed to you every day over the course of 5 days. And there's things to consider and journal about and listen and learn. And so you can, partake in that. You can really partake in it at any time because you'll get automatically just emailed the mini course. But those are great places to start in terms of navigating this area of being an eater, of our beliefs, of our toxic beliefs, of our cravings, of our mindset around dieting, a mindset around food. So feel free to reach out if you guys have questions. Do you have any other questions?
Those are all the questions in the chat. Let me just double check. But I know that lots of people will be watching on the replay. So if do you want me to please tag Jessica so that she knows to come in and answer your questions. I'm just checking here that these links are coming up properly. If you do have any questions, please pop them in the chat. And will you be able to come back into the Facebook group and answer people's questions?
Absolutely. Yeah. Please. Please let me know if, I don't know, Tracy, if you have me over there. I'm happy to answer any questions. And of course, reach out. I love to chat. I love connection. I think that over the last few years, we have lost that sense of connection and community. I love connecting. I love talking. I love chatting with you. You can email me. You can message me. I'm really responsive when it comes to those messages. If you have a question, if you need a resource, I'm happy to shoot it your way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming to speak to us. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.